What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special, very special Memorial Day weekend edition of I'm Curious to Know. This is 23 days in a row that I've been going live at 3:30 every day. I'm super honored and excited to have Colleen Quigley with me today, all the way in the cabin in Park City, Utah. Colleen, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for having me on. 23 days straight. That's a good streak. I mean, the
It's
only
been
thing
an
I do
effort for
every day
sure.
is probably run. So
Yeah.
good for you.
It feels like a little bit like a training plan. There's days
Yeah,
where you're like, oh my goodness, the last thing I feel like doing is doing this. And you get it done and you get a lot out of it and you build
right.
momentum and you build confidence in the process. So I'm excited to look back at the end of this and look at the body of work and the
Yeah,
amazing people that I've been able to connect with. But there's definitely been days where I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to go on in a few minutes here. But
yeah. It's like lacing up your shoes and getting out the door. You just have to press start and then you're
press start
fine.
and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about your situation where you're up in Utah. This is a regular occurrence for you, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule given the current circumstances. But how are you guys managing your time during this lockdown? And tell
Yeah.
me about where you're at right now.
Yeah, so just about a week ago, last Sunday, Kevin and I, my boyfriend and I, packed up the car and with the dog and everything. Kai's around here somewhere. I'm surprised she's not getting in my lap and wanting to know what's going on. But we have a 70-pound Bernese Mountain Dog,
Well,
and she's about a year and a half. She's still very much a puppy. She sat on my lap most of the drive from Portland to Park City, which is like 12 hours. We packed up the car and came out here. We're staying in a cabin at the top of a mountain at 8,000 feet of altitude. We're going to be training here for 5 weeks. This is kind of the closest we could get to like a normal, routine that we would normally be doing at this time of the year.
yeah.
Normally we'd come out of that 5 weeks and have like a big race, like USA Champs or the Prefontaine Classic, something that
Mhm.
you're training towards all those 5 weeks, like working towards. And we don't really have anything at the end of this that we're gearing up towards, so that's a little bit weird. I think
Yeah.
worst case scenario, we'll probably just do a like time trial with the Barman Track Club and set up our own, inter
Yeah.
squad race at the Nike track at home in Portland and
Yeah.
try and see what we've done with all this fitness and see what we can kind of get out of it at the end.
Yeah.
So,
It's very interesting that you're trying to keep that routine and normal schedule. Some of the athletes
yeah.
I've talked to over this month has been using it as an extended off season or using it as an opportunity to work on some weaknesses or
Mhm.
build strength in other areas. But it sounds like you guys are trying to keep that normality as much as you possibly
Yeah.
can. Talk to me about
Yeah.
kind of the reasoning for that.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of kind of when we went on stay at home and orders in Portland, and we weren't allowed to meet as a group anymore and have practice anymore, we noticed that our coach kind of put us back into like our fall training routine where we were doing like speed endurance on Tuesdays, which means like maybe 20 times 200 with like 30 seconds recovery between each one. You're not going super fast, but you're
Yeah.
still getting some turnover, and it's like kind of like strength speed work. And then Fridays was like long tempos or a bunch of mile repeats with short recovery, which is more stuff that we would do in the fall.
Right.
It was like base training.
Yeah.
And so I think that was smart to take us back to that because it was like, hey, we can't be like priming ourselves for a race right now. There's no races to be had for a while, and then we're going to get to a peak, and you can only hold a peak for so long. So okay, let's take a step back and kind of go back to more of a base building phase. And then when we have a better sense of when we're going to be able to get on the starting line again, then we'll kind of like ramp up and like get back into that sharpening phase, if you
Yeah.
will. And so we did, yeah, we definitely did make some adjustments. And obviously, we weren't able to get in the gym. And so we were trying to do strength work as much as we can from our living rooms. And
Yeah.
a bunch of us got USA Track and Field actually was awesome. And they gave us all, if you're a tiered athlete, you got a stipend to spend on gym equipment. And so you could go order, if you could find any online.
Yeah.
Everything was like sold out like immediately, but we were buying bands and weights and stuff like that to try and do anything that we could just from home. But now I feel like we're we're like, okay, we did this like base phase, but we want to kind of keep the schedule as normal as possible through the rest of the summer, because our bodies are just, I mean, we're, fine-tuned machines. And so I think if we get too much off of our normal like ebb and flow of the year, then things just start to kind of like go off the rails. And so just trying to, keep everything as normal as possible. And if we have to time trial in order to get a race, in June or July, we'll do that. And then looks like there might be some races in August, September, October, maybe. I mean, we'll see if we have like a second wave of this thing, and then all those plans are out the window. But then we'll take like a normal fall again, and then like winter training, and like kind of build up to Tokyo in a normal way.
It's interesting. It's cool to hear you explain the why behind that, and it makes a total amount of sense. I wonder how that the motivation. How do you keep that motivation, knowing that you're not really racing? And I know this about you enough to know that you're a competitor and you love standing on the starting line and pushing yourself to the limit with other girls around you. When that's a little bit forced, like obviously the motivation may be different or maybe waning. How have you kind of reconciled that roller coaster of motivation coming and going over the past few weeks?
Totally. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me that. How do you find the motivation? It's a good question for sure. It's like, we don't have any races, and a lot of what we do, like, a lot of the reason that we're training so hard is to race, is to win titles and to get records and, all that good stuff. But I think there's a lot of good that can come from a time away from competition. Like, I've just been thinking a lot about, like, if I could never race again, if I could never, someone told me never get on the starting line, would I still wake up every morning and do my run and like go to the gym and like be active? Yeah, like I definitely would. I just love, I love what I do so much. I love running. I love the sport. So I would do it regardless. Now that intensity of like, just being able to bring that extra intensity to the workouts, that is, that's where the racing part is, and like why you have to have like a carrot, that you're like chasing after. But I think that's where like your teammates come in, and we weren't allowed to, meet as a big group, but I had 2 training partners for my team, and we would meet in a group of 3 and do our workouts together. And if I didn't have that, even if it was just one person to accountability to say, hey, we're going to meet at the track at 9 a.m. and we're doing this workout that coach sent us over text. And it's not going to be like glamorous or anything, but I'm going to be there at that time. You're going to be there. We're going to knock this out together. Even if you just have one person to help you. And I was telling people, even if you have someone in your house that can't run with you, if they can get on a bike with you, that would be great. Just have someone to kind of keep you accountable to like doing the work. I think that was
I love your thought there around that, the lifestyle, and like, would you get up and run every day? Because you love it so much. I think that's a really good way to look at it. And I've actually heard that quite a bit around just being in love with the process so much that it doesn't matter. Obviously, like athletes love racing, and that's why you're at the top of your sport, is because you can perform under pressure. But so much of it is the joy that it brings you of being able to do what you love and move your body and get stronger and see those results. You mentioned your teammates, and you've expressed in many different forms how important they are to you. And you mentioned how difficult it was kind of not being able to get together as a group and do the regular workouts. But how have you, outside of, that group of 3 getting together, how have you all kind of stayed in touch and supported each other and kept each other going through this period?
Totally. I mean, I don't know what people did before, like Zoom and social media. Like, how did people stay connected? I mean,
we wrote letters.
It's insane. Yeah, that would take forever, though. Thank God for Zoom. We did some Zoom happy hours, which was really fun, and it was fun to see people. We sometimes go to each other's houses, but honestly, we normally just see each other at practice, like on runs and at the track and stuff. So it was fun to be on Zoom and see people in their houses with their significant others, and like sometimes we'd be like doing happy hour at 6:00. And so you're on your phone and you're just making dinner. So you're in the kitchen, you got your phone set up, and we're all talking. So we'd be like, what are you having for dinner? Like, what are you cooking? And it was just, that was kind of cool and different, and it was cool to see how people adapted to that. And we just kind of made the most of it. And we talk about how did your workout group go? How did your workout group? Oh my gosh, those miles were so hard, and it was like stuff that we would be talking about anyway.
Yeah.
And so I actually was doing a lot of Zoom calls with, it's kind of slowed down now, but I was right at the beginning, and up until like a couple weeks ago, I was getting a lot of requests from high school and college teams they do like normal Zoom calls once a week as a team, and they asked me to come on and say hi. And so I was scheduling I was giving each team 15 minutes, and I would schedule them every 15 minutes so that I had to be like, I got to go to my next call,
Yeah.
and I would do that for like a couple hours in the afternoon on 1 or 2 days a week. And kept telling them too, like, keep doing the Zoom calls. Like, you have to stay connected with your teammates, or else you can just feel so lonely and so alone. And just knowing that all your teammates are feeling the same way, like they also are in the same boat as you. And so sometimes that's all you need, is like a little bit of that connection, just to remember like you're still a team, and you're still part of this community. And that helped a lot.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear that you were doing that. I had Brenda Martinez on the show earlier in the month, and she's been doing those type of Zoom calls and checking in with high school teams. And like, she has her summer camp with the girls. So she's been, trying to keep some normality around that for her as well. So it's really cool to be able to give back. Now,
I saw a lot of pros stepping up and doing that. I think even if it's just 15 minutes, the kids really appreciated just hearing that, you have a lot of the same shared experiences, and just hearing how we're dealing with it and stuff. I think it helped.
So tell me this, because I get so much out of these calls and the ability to talk to people like yourself and Brenda and the other athletes and guests I've had on the show. I take so much away from those experiences. And I'm sure you probably had the same feeling when you are talking to these athletes in their schools. You can walk away from those feeling great or learning something, or really, what were you able to take away from those calls that you were making?
I think it was just cool to see, like, I don't know when I talk to one person from the team, like the captain, or maybe sometimes the coach, or just one of the kids on the team will send me a DM or an email, and they're my contact person. And I only speak with them, and they send me a link. And so at 3:15, I hit the link, and it pops up on Zoom, and I have no idea. Like, I have no idea how many people are going to be there. Sometimes I can't remember if they said they're in high school or college. I just have the schedule set up, and it says 3:15 Zoom Stephanie, and there's the link, and all I know is Stephanie's going to be on there, and it pops up. And sometimes there's like 40 people on the Zoom, and you're like, whoa, this is a huge team. Like, this is so cool. And there's guys and girls, and they got sprinters and the distance runners, and like everyone's on there, and they got a couple coaches. And then sometimes I hit the link, and there'd be like 4 people on there. It's like, 4 high school girls, and that they have a small team, and they're from a small town and whatever. But it was just cool to see like those different communities and how they were supporting each other, and just like, we do this twice a week or whatever. And usually we do a workout or something, and so I'd be like, all right, well, like, or one team had they do push-ups together, and as a team they do them every day, and then they meet as a Zoom they meet on a Zoom call, and they do the push-ups together, I think twice a week. And so I did push-ups with them. We did I was like, who hasn't done their push-ups yet? So we did push-ups. But I just think that community aspect, and realizing that even if you can't see each other every day, you're still a team, and they still got your back. There's so much about running that feels like an individual sport, but for me, it's always been in college and high school, and now it's always been about the team.
Yeah, love it. You talked about time in the kitchen. You talked about cooking. I know that you've rolled out your Chef Whites and your segment Chef Colleen. Tell me about that. Has cooking always been something that you've kind of loved and you're leaning into it more now, or is it just this brand new passion that you have? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I had the most fun being Chef Colleen on Mother's Day. I don't know if you saw this, but I asked my mom to do an Instagram live with me on Mother's Day. I asked her like probably a week or 2 in advance, just to see if she'd be open to it. And I remember she was like, sure. Like, she wasn't gonna say no to me, but she also was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that. And I was like, come on, it'll be fun, and we can make scones, which is one of her favorite things. Both my parents taught me love for food, but my mom definitely is more of a baker, and my dad's more of a chef. Like, he does the cooking, she does the baking. And we made scones on Instagram Live, and it was just so fun because, yeah, I don't normally like spend Mother's Day with my mom. I'm always training in May, and so it wasn't like, oh, I'm usually home right now and I'm not home. I usually just send, a present and flowers or card or whatever, and I, talk to her on the phone. But this was so much more special to be able to share that with her. And I felt like I was sharing my mom with everyone else. And she was showing us like, oh, here's my homemade kombucha that I made. And then, oh, while the scones are baking, I'll take you guys outside to see our chickens in the backyard. And then here's my garden with all the vegetables I'm growing. And, oh, our new project at the Quigley house is we have a hive of bees in the backyard. And I'm just like, this is crazy. But it was so cool, and it was like, yeah, that's how I grew up. Like, that is where I'm from, and that is why I eat the way that I do, and I see nutrition the way that I do, and I just have the values that I do. It's because of my parents, for sure, the way I grew up. And we lived in the city of St. Louis. We did not live on a farm in, like, rural Missouri. We were 5 minutes from downtown St. Louis. They just always had, a garden with vegetables growing that we would pick things and chop them and saute them. And that's just like how, of course, that's how you eat. Like, we didn't do Lunchables. We didn't do, I think like the most like normal thing we did was like Friday nights we'd do frozen pizza and do movie night. And we would get to eat pizza in the living room on the couch. And it was like usually frozen pizza, like nothing crazy. But other than that, it was like, yeah, my parents, we didn't do like, I don't know, TV dinners or like, Lunchables or like Pop-Tarts. What do normal people eat? I don't know.
Yeah.
We just didn't do that kind of stuff. We really focused on like a whole foods diet, not the grocery store Whole Foods, but like real Whole Foods, and you chop them up and you prepare meals from them. And I think I got to college and realized cooking for myself and stuff, and with roommates, I realized like, oh yeah, not everyone really like knows how to like I made pancakes from scratch, like not from a mix, and my friends were like, what are you doing? Like, I'm making pancakes. They're like, where's the box? Little things like that. But it really gave me appreciation for it. It reminded me when I did that Mother's Day Instagram with my mom, I was like, yeah, this is so cool. And I'm so proud of it. I remember being very embarrassed by that when I was younger, and I just wanted to be like everyone else. I just wanted to be like normal. But now I think it's really cool, and I value that a lot. And I think I studied nutrition in college, so I think that definitely shaped a lot of the choices that I've made throughout my life.
Yeah, I remember you talking about being or planning to be a dietitian. So if running didn't work out, you wanted to be a dietitian. Is that still the plan? Is that still in your future, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Florida State, and I went into school not having any intentions of running after college. I barely went to college. I thought I was going to go move to New York and become famous as a model after I graduated high school. So I went into college being like, oh, I'll get a free education and, run in the NCAA for 4 years and, go to school for free. Like, that's cool. And then I have to figure out what I want to do after school while I'm in school, like a normal person does. And so I studied dietetics with the intention of like, you have to do a 4-year undergrad, and then you take an exam, and then if you pass, and then you do a 1-year internship, and then you take an exam. If you pass the exam, you're a registered dietitian. You can start working in the field. So the likelihood of me going back and doing like the 1-year internship, either in a hospital or you can do it at a university, is pretty, at this point, pretty low, just because now I'm thinking 2024, like 2028, I don't know how long I'm going to go, riding this gravy train as long as I can. But I still want to like stay connected with dietetics in some way, whether that's just like, there's still some things you can do without being an RD, a registered dietitian. It's just not quite as, you don't have that like legitimacy to your name, but it's more relying on I use this in my life every day, and like this is more like personal experience and what I've learned, rather than like I took a test and like have some information.
Now to me, it seems like the kind of the registered dietitian piece of it would be more clinical. So it's working in hospitals, or it's working with, people who need more
clinic or
clinical
schools.
Whereas what you've done is you've put your nutrition understanding of nutrition and fueling and what have you into practice as an athlete. So there's legitimacy there. So don't worry about having to have. You've got it. So I could imagine there's probably, a way that you can continue that passion without having to have that R&D designation.
I think so. And I mean, people ask me for nutrition advice all the time. Like even my aunt yesterday was calling me about, she wanted my recipe for granola. And she was like, but I can't make it with any nuts because my cousin is allergic to peanuts. And I was like, okay, like I can whip you up a recipe version that has other stuff in it that would still be, really satisfying and satiating without nuts. And I was like, okay, the seeds, like I'll whip it up, send it to you. She's like, oh yeah, and while you're doing that, can you do like a whole nutrition plan for me for like what I should eat for breakfast and lunch and like snack and dinner and like every day for like a month? And I'm like, okay, no, I can't do that for you. She wants like a personal plan, but it makes me laugh. But it's like, yeah, like there are people that want that. Like that is totally, and they just want someone to tell them what to do. They're just like, I don't know what to do and I just need a plan. Like I need a coach. The same way someone would need help with running. They're like, yeah, I know how to run. And like, technically I kind of like know how to do workouts. I just want someone to tell me what workouts to do and what day and what paces and how much recovery to take and when to take a day off. And like, I don't want to think about it. I just want a coach to tell me what to do, which is totally fair. Like that's what I do. I have a coach that tells me what to do and it's great. And so you don't always think about that like with food, but I think that's definitely, that's an area where people need coaching. They need help and they don't really want to take the time to think about it and write down a plan. They just want someone to tell them what to do, what to eat. And what they need to do for, for them personally, like a personalized plan. So, who knows, down the road, something like that could be a possibility. And I think that could be cool because it would be pretty flexible if I, had a family at that point or was, traveling or whatever. It could be a flexible job. So I think staying connected in some way to the field would be awesome.
It's very cool. I like your aunt's audacity. That's like a classic bait switch. Just give me this one thing, and then by the way, while you're doing it, I need this.
She like was trying to like slip in it, and I'm like, okay, that's a pretty big ask. Because she's like, in your spare time. Love you, Aunt Kelly.
I'm sure Aunt Kelly's watching. She's a big fan of the show, so I'm sure she's check this out. You have made an impact with Chef Colleen. I had a couple of my chef friends actually. One in particular, Jeff Mayen, who's got a whole bunch of restaurants. He's got, some of the best restaurants.
Oh my gosh.
He sent me a note. He's like, do you know this lady? Do you know Colleen? And I'm like, yeah, I know her somewhat. We've done a story on her. So
absolutely.
He's impressed with your work. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, you have to give me his contact information because most recently I started reaching out on Instagram to some of the food accounts that I follow. Asking if they would be willing to do like a live with me where like these are real chefs. So I'm like, I'll put on my little apron, says Chef Colleen, but like I'm not a real chef. I was like, you should put me through a recipe. Like we cook one of your favorite recipes together and you show me how to do it on Instagram Live. I was like, this would be so fun. But so far I have a hit rate of 0. So
what is wrong with these people?
I don't know. So if you want, I mean, I'm kind of shooting for the stars a little bit. Maybe I should but if you have a personal connection, that would be amazing because I think that would be the next level, would be like doing some more just outside the box stuff that recipes that I've never done before and see if we could get a good banter going. I have done a couple of fun food wars. There's another Team USA athlete who I'm obsessed with, Kate plus Fate, Kate Courtney, is the MTB cyclist. And so she and I have been doing a couple of food wars. Our first one was a salad war, and then our second one was a taco war. And next up, we're going to have to do a dessert war. I think we're going to do like cookies or something. But the idea is that we both make, our entree or whatever, and then we get pictures of them and they have the fans decide on which one they think looks better.
Well, so here's an idea that I had. So Chef Jeff is one of the brains behind Chef Cycle. So he's a big cyclist. They start
cool.
this ride called Chef Cycle. It raises money for No Kid Hungry.
Oh,
They raise
awesome. I love them.
So you guys should get together, do a cook off,
I
and we'll
love
do
it.
it as a fundraiser for No Kid Hungry.
That'd be amazing. That'd
Okay,
be so
make
fun.
okay. It's
I
gonna
did a little fundraiser for No Kid Hungry on Mother's Day week, and I'm on Cameo. You do
yeah
like these little shout out videos. So I told everyone that anyone who requested me to do a Cameo for Mother's Day, I would send the Cameo, like my portion of the Cameo money to No
yeah
Kid Hungry.
amazing.
So I love
Love
that.
those
That'd
guys.
be
Yeah,
fun.
let's do it. Okay, we're gonna do that.
Done. Look out for that, you
So
guys.
we've saved the world. So talk to me about social media. You're doing an amazing job of engaging with fans. You've got great ideas. You're working with Kate Courtney. You've started Fast Braid Friday. You've got
Yeah.
Colleen. You've got all of these things that are engaging. Tell me about that. Obviously, there's an energetic responsibility that you have to show up for your fans.
Yeah.
Fans. Tell me about how that plays out in your life, because it takes a lot out of you, obviously, to continue to show
Yeah.
up time and time again.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny because when I first went pro, you graduate college and you're trying to figure everything out, and you're trying to find a coach and a team and a sponsor, and you have to find an agent, and you're like, this is so weird. And so I was like, I don't really care about the agent or really the sponsor that much. Like, I just want to find a coach and a team that I think I can be successful with and I can enjoy spending time with. And so that was, for me, that was the Bowerman Track Club and Coach Schumacher and Coach Pascal Daubert. I was like, this is the squad for me, And so then I had my parents help me figure out an agent. I was like, they're all the same. I don't really care. Like, whatever. And then the agent helped me get a sponsor. And it turned out that the agent that I chose just wasn't the right fit for me. Like, he is kind of a more traditional, no offense, Travis, but like, white dude who like had just been in this for a while and like was a little bit out of touch with like a young girl who was like into social media and like wanted to build a fan base and wanted to interact and be more than just a runner, like more than an athlete, as the uninterrupted saying goes. And so we parted ways after a couple of years, and I just wanted more. Like, I wanted more out of the relationship. I wanted more as an athlete. I wanted to use my voice in a bigger way and just be able to reach people and, work with brands that runners don't normally work with, and do things just differently than I was seeing other runners do. And I think my agent was not the only agent in the field that of track agents who just didn't know what to do with that. He was like, I don't have those connections, and also just wasn't interested. And it just like seems to like too much work, and I just want to keep doing what I've been doing, and like this is working for me. And so like he just didn't want to make that change. And so since then, I've hired a PR company, and they're called Berth Communications. They're amazing. I have an agent who is in New York, who's a female, and an agent in LA who's also a female. And so they just get me, and like they're excited about what I'm excited about, and they get me cool interviews with kind of like Pop Sugar and like these brands that are exciting and high energy and like fun the way that I am. And that's just been really fun for me, and I think that fuels me. And you mentioned how do you balance it, and it can be exhausting sometimes. It feels like a lot, and I have to be like on all the time, and I have an interview and I have to like be excited, or I have scheduled this live, like you're doing lives every day, and sometimes I scheduled it and then the day comes and I don't feel like doing it, but you got to do it anyway because you said you were going to. So sometimes it can be a lot, but I honestly think that more than anything, it fuels me and like makes me more excited for what I'm doing and gives me more purpose. Like, I don't run just because I want to get a medal. I run because there's some girls out there who are braiding their hair up on Fridays because they're following, what I'm doing, and they're cheering for me, and they come to USA's in Des Moines, Iowa, like middle of nowhere, to see me race. And they're like, I didn't even win, and they still came out to see me race. Like, and they wanted my autograph. They didn't care that I was third. They were like, "You're awesome,"
Steeple squid.
Yeah, they're like, here to cheer on steeplesquid. So I was like, are you sure? Like, these girls are faster than me. And they're like, don't care. Like, and that's so cool. I don't know. I think having that connection with people who see something in you that like reminds them of themselves or inspires them or gets them excited, I mean, that's why I'm in this sport, that's why I'm doing this more than just like for the Olympics. This is now it's okay, I've built this into a career. So how am I going to make that meaningful? How am I going to leave a legacy that's more than just like what I did on the track? It's, how you made people feel and how you made a difference outside of just like winning medals, which I hope I do that too.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Yeah.
It's great insight. And I gave up personal listening a long time ago, but what I heard in there was I'm an old guy who's out of touch, and you
no.
You had to force yourself to show up today. So that's what I took out of it.
No. Not at all. Not at all. Oh, it's just funny. I'm like, old white guy. I'm like, I mean, it's not like there's nothing wrong with white dudes. I'm just saying this particular one was out of touch.
Oh, I love it. Interview's over. We're out of here. I'm walking off.
No, I've totally offended you. I'm so sorry.
No. I get it. I totally get it. I just wanted to bust your balls there a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
So tell me about Fast Braid Friday. I see it as this really empowering catchphrase effectively, but for you it started as, you like braiding your hair, you do it for big events, big competitions, big workouts, and it caught on, and now it's this empowerment piece that allows people to feel strong and confident and look their best and feel good and move well. Tell me about that, like how it started and then the momentum that you've got around that movement.
Yeah, it totally did start as just like, I remember I just did this one Instagram post of myself wearing just one single like French braid down the back of my head, and that's just a way I wear my hair a lot. I have really long hair, and it gets tangled if I just have it in a ponytail or whatever, especially if it's hot and humid outside. And it's just a practical way of doing my hair. And I posted something about like, originally it was French Braid Friday. I said, is French Braid Friday a thing? # French Braid Friday a thing? Because it should totally be a thing. And it was just like funny. And some people responded saying like, oh my God, yeah, totally. Like I do it too. And then the next Friday, some people posted in their stories with themselves in a French braid and tagged me in it. I was like, that's kind of fun. And so like the next week I did another one. I was like, it's French Braid Friday again, and I did another one. And I got more people tagging me in for the braids. And I was like, ooh, this is fun. And so we just kept doing it. And then my teammate decided to troll me and made French Bread Friday a thing. She posted every Friday a picture of herself holding French bread. It was like French Bread Friday. So we had fun with that for a little while, like a battle. And then a friend of mine, Alicia Montano, she's a Team USA athlete as well, and now she's got a couple kiddos. She might have 3 kiddos now. But anyway, she is an African-American athlete, and she, reached out to me and said, hey, I see what you're doing with the braid thing. And because I was posting, I'd repost people's braids, and people would post, 2 braids, Dutch braids, cornrows, what have you. Like I'd repost them all. It didn't have to be a French braid. And so she's like, hey, like, see what you're doing, but like when you post a picture of someone, especially if it was a white girl with like cornrows into a ponytail, and you say French braid, that they're French braids, she's like, that's not cool, because that's, it's a big part of our braids are a big part of our culture, and calling them the right thing is an important thing. Like you can't call them French braids when they're cornrows. And I was like, I'm so white, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't even think about it, and it was stupid. Like I need to educate myself, and can you help me, and can you educate me? And she was like, yeah, I think the idea is great, and the whole empowerment and creating community around something as simple as hair is really cool, but has to be, another way to do it where it's more inclusive, and you can use verbiage that includes all kinds of braids and like all kinds of skin color who wear those braids. And I was like, okay, but I really like the alliteration of French Braid Friday. Like I really like that. So what are we gonna do? And she's like, I'll think about it. And she came back to me a couple days later, she said, how about Fast Braid Friday? And I was like, oh my gosh, it should have been that the whole time. Like it's perfect. And it's just because the braids, no matter what style they are, no matter what, what they where they come from or who's wearing them. It's just all about how they make you feel. If they make you feel confident, if they make you feel powerful and strong and fast, then that's all you need. Just to stand on the starting line with your shoulders back and your head up, and like, I've trained hard. I've done everything I can do, and I know my goals. I know my race plan, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna execute. And sometimes that's a power. People use like a ponytail, or I don't know what guys do. Maybe they like
just
hair back, just do this, and they're ready to go.
Give it little poof.
But it's whatever you need to do to feel that way. And so if it's braids, then more power to you. And I wear so many different styles. Like, it's not one lucky style or anything. Just part of the whole like getting ready process too, before the race or before a workout. In the morning you have your oatmeal, and you do your makeup maybe, and you do your hair, and you put on your uniform, and you make sure you have your spikes in, and you pack your bag for the track, and it's like all this preparation thing to get you like in the right mindset to go race.
Very cool. I love the background. I appreciate you sharing that. I wasn't aware of the chain, the alliteration, and how that came about. So I appreciate you sharing that. And what a lesson, though. What a great opportunity for you to connect with Alicia and find out more about why.
Yeah, I was so grateful that she took the time to tell me, first of all, hey, obviously she reached out and said that she was not the only one who was thinking that and feeling maybe offended or slighted. And I had no idea. I was just stepping on toes blatantly without, any idea. So I was just really glad that she respected me enough to, come to me and actually talk to me about it and offer her help in finding a solution that was totally above and beyond, what she had to do, which was really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Now, we had a really thoughtful question come in from the audience here. We had Melanie Mitchell, who's a big fan of the show. She talked about the fact that there's no steeplechase at high school level. How can people potentially enter the sport? My idea here when I saw that question was, there's obviously fundamentals. You're obviously running, you're working on your strength, you're working on a lot of those other fundamental aspects before you start to jump over things. But I'd love to hear your expert opinion and advice on that question.
Yeah, it's a great question, Melanie. I did not do steeplechase in high school. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Some states now have steeplechase, or at least they have some meets during the year where you can try it as a high schooler. But that was not an option when I was in school. And I didn't even think about it, honestly. I just didn't even think about the event. I didn't do the 300-meter hurdles. I never jumped over a hurdle in my life until I got to Florida State, and my head coach there said, I think she looked at my long legs and just athletic body type and said, I think you'd be a good steeplechaser. And so she brought on Coach Terry Long, and he was a big time coach. He had retired, but he was still living in Tallahassee. He had coached Kim Batten and Walter Dix. He had coached 400-meter hurdlers at a very elite level, and so he knew how to hurdle properly. And we spent months just going over technique and just getting drills down before he even allowed me to jump over a hurdle for the first time. So I think there's a lot of that you could do in high school for as far as hurdle walkovers. You set up 6 hurdles in a row and do hurdle walkovers and work on hip mobility and hip and glute strength. I have a video on my Instagram TV of a trail leg drill that you can do with a chair in your living room if you want, or with a hurdle at the track. And you just need a wall to lean up against, and you're pulling your trail leg around on top of the hurdle. And if you've never done it before, the next day your glutes and hips will be pretty sore. So it's stuff like that you could do, but also just learning athleticism. I played soccer and danced growing up. I actually didn't start running until freshman year of high school. And so I think just learning more body awareness and just how to, and a lot about what you do in dance is taking your teacher's critiques, you need to turn out more, or lift your leg more. Your left leg needs to be out to the side more. And you have to like take what they say and then understand it and conceptualize it, but then also be able to make your body actually do that. And it seems simple, but it can be really hard when you're, it's the same thing when you're like learning how to hurdle and someone says, okay, you need to take off further away from the hurdle, or you need to lean more into the hurdle, or your trail leg needs to be more flat, or your foot can't be above your knee. And you can conceptualize that. You're like, yes, okay, I'm going to take off earlier. Yes. And then you go towards the hurdle and you take off at the same spot that you always do. And it's hard sometimes to take someone's critique or advice and like actually make your body do that, what what they said. And that's something I think we don't really do a lot in running. It's just, you just put one foot in front of the other. But learning skills like that is a different technique, and it takes like more practice and more like focused practice, which is definitely something that you could do before you ever, jump over a hurdle. So just doing drills or doing plyometrics, doing skips, single leg bounds, a lot of that stuff to make sure your legs and hips and glutes and everything are really strong before you start to hurdle.
Very good advice. Taking care of those fundamentals, I think, is important for any young runner. I know Melanie's kids are in Colorado, they're in Boulder, so I know that for sure that, if there's an opportunity for them to, just take care of those little things. You don't need to be in a big rush to get wherever you need to go right from the beginning. So.
I know, and it's hard when now I feel like high school kids are so good and so fast, and it's so competitive, and you're trying to get a scholarship, and so you have to be faster and better always. But I mean, I was okay, but I wasn't like I wasn't winning national titles or anything in high school. So I think that progression can be slow and can be gradual and does not need to be all at one time.
Patience. Love it. This has been amazing. I do like to end the show with 3 questions that I ask every day. So I'm going to throw these at you. But before we do, I really, really appreciate you making the time and not cancelling on me when you didn't feel like showing up.
No, I did feel like showing up today.
I'm never going to let you live that down, by the way. You're going to get that every time. So I'm going to launch it. But thank you. It's been great.
No, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So here we go. So first question, what's one thing that's changed for you during this lockdown, isolation, stay-at-home time that you want to keep once we go back to whatever the new phase of life is?
Well, I don't know if it's possible, but so my boyfriend Kevin and I have been dating for over 10 years. We started dating in high school. I'm only 27, so we've been dating for a long time. And we have been long distance for like 9 of those 10 years. So whenever I was at Florida State, he went to Fordham in the Bronx in New York. And then I moved out to Portland, and he moved to the West Coast too, but he moved to San Francisco. And since then, he has now moved to LA. So we're still, like, I spend the fall with him. So this last fall, I was in LA with him and our dog. And that's a new thing, that we got a dog in the last year and a half. But we do long distance. And so when this happened, he started a company in SF, and now they're in LA. And so they decided to all work from home, and they, shut down their office and stuff. And he was like, well, I'm just going to come to, if we're going to be quarantined, like, we might as well be quarantined together. So he packed up the car and the dog and drove to Portland. So we have been living, before I came to Park City, we were in my 550 square foot studio apartment in Portland with me and Kevin and the dog, and Kevin working from home, and like pretty much me working from home. And it was so madness, but it was really fun we spent so much time together, and we don't, normally get to do that. And normally it's like we call each other a few times a day, or call him on my way home from practice, or he calls me when he's getting coffee or something. And I would come home from practice, and Pi would be at the door like, I missed you so much, and we get to have lunch together as like a little mini family. So I don't think I can keep this he's going to have to eventually go back to work. But it's been super nice just spending more time together and like getting more like actual FaceTime with one another. It's been really special.
Very cool. I'm sure there's probably moments where you're like, hey, do you want to go back to LA? Or
Well, when he's like accusing me of not doing the dishes and stuff like that, I'm like, no, but it's actually been great.
That's awesome.
Which is good, because if it was not great, I think we'd both be like, oh, damn, there's 10 years down the
What have we
drain.
done for 10 years?
That would have been horrible.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it's working out. That's good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm sure you're more glad than what I am. You guys, that's great. I'm happy for you guys. Second question, what's one thing that you thought was important before this lockdown isolation period that you're happy to leave in the past?
Oh, gosh. I mean, there are certain things, like, I think I can get my work done that we usually go to the gym to do in like half the time that I usually do it when we go to the gym. And maybe that's part of it, is because you get the social component of it in there. We go for a run together, and then we like get a snack and go up to the gym. We like stretch for a little bit and like, just hang out, and then maybe between reps people are, bullshitting and stuff. So it takes a little longer. I could probably do it in maybe not quite half the time, but like maybe instead of an hour, it takes me like 40 minutes to do gym. And that's kind of nice. And you have like 20 extra minutes to, relax and eat lunch and do whatever, check emails and stuff. So maybe just like being a little bit more efficient. I could carry on, with me out of this quarantine. That'd be nice.
Yeah, very cool. Good idea. Third question, what has been your most memorable moment of joy during this period of time?
Oh gosh. There's so many great things about having a dog. Like, I was thinking about it this morning because we woke up this morning. So the first day we got to Park City, I ran in a sports bra. Second day, it was like long sleeves and shorts. And then I ran in tights and long sleeves one day. And then this morning we woke up and there's snow everywhere on the ground. We were like, oh crap, it snowed last night. And my dog is a Bernese Mountain Dog. And I think she was like, I went to take her for a walk. She woke up at 6:30 this morning. We went for a walk and she was like, I'm born for this. Like, she just went berserk in the snow. Like, she was just, it's all of her Instagram. She has her own Instagram, so if anyone's interested in seeing this dog having the time of her life, she's at My Favorite Pie on Instagram. And she just was like, she was running in there, and then she was like rolling around and just like pure joy. And there's been a lot of moments during quarantine where I take her to the dog park, and she's loves just like wrestling with other dogs, like just gnawing at each other's necks and like just having so much fun doing, like, I mean, it's nothing, right? She doesn't care that it's quarantine and that, people are out of work. She's just like, I don't care. I'm in my life. I'm happy. It's simple, like no stress, nothing. She's just always like that. And I think that's such a good reminder for myself and for Kevin to just be like, okay, yeah, like there are some things, that are not great. And I wish that we could have the Olympics right now and blah, blah, blah. But like, we eat dinner every night and we get to run and we get to be with each other, and, like it's the simple things. It's just going to the dog park is like the best thing ever. If it snows, it's the best thing ever. And just getting to like get back to that, simple joys. Yeah, I think that's what, main lessons that you can learn from a dog, but
it's like we have kids. We have 2 kids here, and like just it's a similar feeling. Like they don't.
Yeah.
Our daughter's 3 years old. She doesn't necessarily understand what's going on, but like just the little things. We got her a little kiddie pool here, and she's like having
stoked.
Like the greatest thing ever. So I totally appreciate that. That pie
doesn't have to be like some big, expensive blah blah blah. It's just it's a kiddie pool.
Jump in the pool. Yeah. So I get it. This has been amazing. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy.
Yeah, thank you.
And good answers. And
I'll
connect you with Jeff.
How much longer are you going to keep this going? This is day 23. What, are you just going to into eternity?
I'm scheduled until the end of the month, so I committed to doing everything in May. But now I look at the list of people that I haven't been able to bring on the show that I really want to have on the show. And I'm like, well, it has to continue in some format. My wife will definitely divorce me if I say it's going to be every single day into eternity. But I need to find
maybe like once a week.
Yeah, mate. Well, I don't think it's enough. I would like to once a week's easy. Like that's not a challenge. So I think that like maybe it's a couple of times. But I'll let you know. Maybe I'll have you back on the show in.
I like it. Well, if you need anyone's info from the Barham Track Club, you know who to ask.
Sounds good. And I'll connect you with Chef Jeff, and we'll do the
Yes. Oh my gosh, everyone look out. Chef Colleen is getting pro.
Here you go. You're going pro as a chef too. I love it. Anything we can do to help here.
You're awesome. Thank you, Travis.
We'll chat soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.